my friend, it's Pat Sloan here, and it is Thursday when this comes out, but I am filming it on Monday morning. I have spent the last 3 days working here, getting my stuff reduced down. Yeah, basically, it's been a lot, like all day, like 8 hours for 3 days in a row of just sorting and looking at things and rearranging things and determining what I'll keep and where I'll keep it and all those things. And I'm not done. And the dining room area is a big mess. But what I want to do is today I'm not doing London Town because I have not sewn yet for days and days. I've touched a lot of fabric, but I haven't cut anything or sewn anything or stitched anything, not even cross stitch or nothing. So well, I did Wednesdays. I did the block Wednesday, but nothing else because it's taking a lot of energy, a lot of brain space, a lot of time to go through all of this. This is a pretty deep dive for me. I've done this before, but it needs to be done again and again until I get it down to a much smaller level. Being in business 25 years, you accumulate a lot of things. So this is kind of reducing down to what I'm really working with anymore, really what I enjoy working with. And so, yeah. And then, of course, my quilts have to be, more of them have to be donated. And what I've done is I've done a little filming of some stuff, and I'll show you that I'm going to go through a bin and show you my process of sort of how I'm looking at the things that I have. Yeah, so let's first though, so this is our tidy up. It says 10-minute tidy up. Well, this is going to be a 4 or 5 day tidy up for me. But if you need a 10-minute tidy up today, vacuum. Oh my goodness. I have been doing that, moving stuff, ever since we moved the stuff in here. Oh my goodness. Vacuum. That's your, if you do nothing else today, do that. It's also Fig Newton Day. Are you a fan of Fig Newtons? I have to tell you, I was a huge fan. I can remember I ate them a lot in like college and maybe young adulthood. And I had them maybe a year ago and I was like, oh, they're just not as good. And I'm sure it's just my tastes have changed a lot in what I like. But yeah, but I still love the Fig Newton. Like, they're just the oddest cookie, aren't they? Just so odd. I don't know. Okay, let's take a look at what I've been working on. So what I'm doing is looking at bins. And up here, this is black and gray fabrics. This third bin I have right here, which when I got it down, actually discovered there's a bunch of blue in here. So I rarely use black and gray fabric, and I have like 2.5, almost 3 bins of it. So what I'm doing is going through and keeping, my fabric line, keeping dots, keeping stripes, keeping any novelty type things like the swans, and my friend Kendall sent me the pandas, which the pandas are back at the DC Zoo, Washington DC Zoo. I am so excited. So I've been to see the pandas a few times over the many years I've lived here. So anyways, that's what I'm doing. This is one of my older fabric lines. It was a batik, but these smaller pieces like this will go to the charity groups. So here's a little peek. I'm taking things. This is stuff I take when I go sew. Here is a bunch of fabric line, paperwork, and then I have bags of fabric, some books, some supplies, and then quilts. These are all going to charity groups, charity functions for the quilts. And then I'm working on figuring out what's all in here, taking the mystery bags. 2 of them, you just saw those 2 bags that were up here. I have another one I'm going to show you on my desk right now, which is like an oh my gosh moment. And then some other stuff. This is like a backing, beautiful backing that I want to use, but I need to store it somewhere. And then this is the progress over here. So let's go in the studio. I am taking, like I did those guys, and I have 4 bins, 1, 2, 3, 4, that I need to pull everything out, remove some of it to go to new homes, and then sort it because it goes back in so much more tidy. And then, you know, it's hard to tell. You can tell this one's not been sorted. These two have. These four have not. These two have. And it's hard to tell for you. But if I pull it out, there's a huge difference. So let me just pull two of them out. I often will, well, not often, almost always, let's be real, shove in so much stuff in these baskets. These are more pliable baskets, and so I can, and there's a wire rim, heavy duty wire rim here and down the, and even not even on the side. So, you know, I stuff these super full, and so what I do is I take them out. I'll probably move a third of it on to a new home, and then refold it. Or no, not all need refolded, but you know, make them tidy, and then put them all back, and they're so much neater. And then there's some room. You know, there's some room, but you can still see. Rarely have I made a basket where it's like, oh, I've just got half of it left. I've not quite gotten to that point. I should, but I'm not quite there. But this is why you don't see a big difference. When you're looking at it on the end, like you generally see it, it doesn't look like I did anything. Whereas I will remove a third of this to go to charity and make it nice and tidy for me to work with, so that I can actually get in here and look at things. So the other sort of, oh my gosh, in these bags, you know, these are called my mystery bags. I had to see what all is in them. This, when we pulled everything from upstairs, oh my gosh, these are class teaching stuff from when I was on the road teaching, and I haven't used them for probably, some of these probably close to 10 years for this group, maybe a little less for a few of these, maybe but at least, you know, 6 years. So it's time to disassemble this and see if there's anything I want to keep and move it on. Before I go on, let me show you what I did. I found my, this is an old mouse pad that I got quite a few years ago. It's a little bit worn, because I used it a lot, but it's the pandas, and because the pandas have come back to Washington, D.C., I found it, and I thought, I'm going to put it here for a coaster. So I'll enjoy it a little bit more for maybe it gets a little grungy. Okay, so I decided I'm going to keep most of what was in here. It's got this bag I can keep it in. These are for showing thread colors and free motion quilting samples. So I'm going to keep it a little bit longer. Yeah. It's, like this is like the 5 to 10 year I haven't used it. But maybe I will do a little last hurrah with them here on the videos. Okay, so this one was even further back, some classes I used to do. And I think I'm just going to go through and keep a few of the samples, like some of the pieces like this, that I will incorporate into things later on. And I think that'll be fun. This is a bag of some blocks. I think I got rid of the rest of them, but I took them for teaching because it was all about sort of how to work improvisational, or you know, and not what unstructured, work unstructured. And I got these blocks just to illustrate that, you know, what you can do on foundation and how people didn't always work structured. We have a myth kind of in quilting that the old quilts were so structured and amazing, and this is really how they were. They were just like us. These, you know, over the years, people have thought maybe they were some sort of, you know, lining for dresses. It's a variety of stuff. Some of them they thought might have been some sort of ribbons, maybe used for funerals. And on the back, they're all hand-pieced onto newspaper print, and their stitching is pretty big for piecing. You know, the idea ultimately when you're working on foundation is that you remove that paper. You know, this may have been practice pieces for a child, something like that. And somewhere along here, one of these I know has the year, I've forgotten. Here's 1962, so January 21st, 1962, Sunday school lesson. So I suppose that these are from the 60s. There we go. So they're kind of a crazy stuff. This is a block I made. There we go. There's the back for those of you who want to see. I pieced it just very sort of unstructured, and then these were units I pieced kind of unstructured on paper, and then I covered the raw edges. I just overlapped them and covered the raw edges with 1/4 inch bias binding and sewed it down on both sides with a blanket stitch. But it was super fun. This is kind of a super fun way to work, and I never did any more like it. I played around some, but I really enjoyed that process. The class was from my book Crazy Log Cabins, which has been out of print for a while, but I will link it. Hopefully I'll remember. But you could just do Crazy Log Cabins, Pat Sloan. This is one of the samples there's a similar one in the book, and this is one I did for the workshops. But using big centers and piecing around them in very fun, whimsical way, and then kind of getting them structured down to a regular size block so you can piece them together, and then putting a top. So, and I've got like little slivers in here. Like this is one of my very early fabric lines, like the second fabric line I ever did, were these two fabrics. There's that one. Always loved that one. From my second fabric line. That was also that same fabric. So, and this was mine too. That little one in there, and this, little bits in there. Okay, let's do a last hurrah. So you take rectangles and you slice them on an angle like this, not right to the point. I didn't do right to the point, although they're close. And then I'm just going to show you, because this is the step outs I had for the step-by-step, showing. So you're basically going to be adding on to each piece. So you're going to be putting the long side, not that side, but the straight side. And then next you do the other fabric, putting the straight side, and you put the small end at the wide end. Okay, so you got that. Whoops, small end to the wide end. And then you want to add another one. Here we go. Once again, small end to the wide end. Okay, got that. And then the last piece would be small end to the wide end. And I don't have it before it was trimmed, but it would be, kind of, if you take this one here, hold on, and you visualize that last piece. Wait, here you go. So you put that last piece on, and if you're sewing with this straight to you, that looks fine. But then what you do is you would rotate this to the right, and that's your tilted block, and then you would trim it to a working size, whatever you end up with as a common working size for everything. So, and I would not trim them till I made them all, because otherwise you might get some of them too small. Of course, you could just add pieces to it, but oops, that one's not the right way. There we go. Wide end to the small end. Wide to end or small to wide, whatever. They're opposite. Don't put the small to small. See, it won't work, right? You can see that. So, okay. So there's a little mini of what I used to do in workshops. Another little mini for you, just digging through this bag, memory lane. So this is made fabric, and it's basically just strips, and they're not all the same size, so it makes it very interesting, kind of like you're making your own striped fabric. And then just like I did for one of my quilt-alongs a few years back, I used the crumb blocks I had been making from all of my scraps in the regular patchwork. So you basically just now think of this as a single piece of fabric, and then you cut it like I did here for the half square triangles, and it makes it just so much fun. And if you really want to use up some of the strips that you have, this is a great way to do it. So these are some blocks from those bags. So I will put them in the parts center up here, which is pretty full, but this round the parts center is staying. I may move it out of that basket somewhere else, but for right now I'm not dealing with it. It's just gonna stay. I'm going to be very, very honest. This is not something that is easy to do, even for somebody who's motivated like I am to reduce down. I know it's very, very hard. And like I said the other day, for some of you, this is not at all of an interest, which is totally fine. But what I do here on my videos talk about what I'm working on. And if it helps somebody, even one person who's been thinking about doing this, then I feel happy. If it helps nobody, I'm happy too. That's like, because it's what I'm doing. Also, you have to be in the right mindset. I've wanted to do this for a couple of years, and I have done, I knew I needed to kind of offload. When I was working on the road, I'm working at home now all the time, but when I was on the road so much, there was literally no time to do this kind of a thing. And it just piled up. And so, early on, about 5 years ago, I did some huge dives of things. And now, I had to be in the right mindset. If your mindset isn't right to do this, it's hard. And if it's hard, then, and you want to do it, then maybe do it in little tiny chunks or give yourself a break, that kind of a thing, because it is a hard process to deal with. If you have questions about the process, leave it in the comments here at YouTube, and I'll accumulate those, and next week I'll kind of answer them, and next week I'll do a little walkthrough. We have to move some pieces of furniture around to get a kind of final set that we're thinking about. If it works, we have to try it, but we're not quite to the point to do that yet. It'll be next week after I've kind of sent all the things off to the charity groups. Okay, so I want to show you what I'm doing. Like I told you, I can stuff a lot in these because they're pliable. They smush and they push out, and not so much the hard wire part, but I can stuff a lot in here. So when I reduce it down, even if I take a third of it out, it doesn't look like, it just looks tidier, but it's actually then room. But you can't really tell. That's why a lot of times when I show you these videos, I think, you can't tell the difference between the before and after sometimes, because I could have gotten rid of boatloads of fabric, but I'm very good at stuffing them in here. As I'm sure many of you are too. Okay, let me set this up. I will always take it all out, and I like to take these on their side to work with them, because I end up taking like a new stack and just shoving it in both sides as far as I can, the two stacks, and then tipping it like this and sort of like dunk dunk, and it'll shove down. Like, this is a gigantic piece, and yeah, I'm going to do something with pink for my mom, because my mom is like a minimalist and she doesn't want or need a lot of things. And so I have given her some quilts, but I'm going to make one that actually fits her bed properly. So I'm going to do it in pink because that's her favorite color. So, this is one side. Oh, see, here's stuff jammed. See, like here, I jammed it in the middle. Yeah, so basically taking all of this out, and then I will go stack by, piece by piece. Basically, I'm going to go piece by piece. So let me just do a few pieces and show you. Okay, so like for me, some of this this is the stuff I've just been using for Liberty of London, and it's a good size. So since it's a good size, I will keep it this sort of more like a basic. I'm considering a basic, but something like this is a little bit smaller. I'm going to right now put that on the side. This is got some novelty stuff. Anything that's got some novelty, there's mushrooms in there. Novelty stuff I'll keep. The cameras, which is very old. Maybe not. I'll put it on the maybe pile. I like this one. It's different. I can always get sort of basic stuff, and things that are maybe a bit more unique that I know I've had a really long time and I haven't used it, and I'm thinking it could just go on. The novelty, anything, this is what I call novelty. Anything with like images, fun stuff, the cameras, the critters, there's gnomes, those are novelty. This one I know I've had a long time, but I still love it for its images, so I'm going to keep it. Pineapples, and I've used those quite a few times. Bees, cats. This I bought when we were on a cruise, and I just very sentimental about it because I had to hunt down this fabric shop, and I just love it. Okay, so there's a lot of things in here I'm keeping so far. This is not a good sign. So it might be a sign that I'm wearing out. So what I do is just do this. You know, I just kind of keep going through. Like this plaid, it's fun. And is there a decent amount? There is a decent amount. If it were smaller than that, I might not keep it. And then at that point, at one point, when I get all of this, I will kind of put it by, I actually do it now, put it by lights so that they're, you know, similar colors. Like the darker, it's like these are the darker and these are the lighter up here. So I've got darker and lighter. So I'm going to just do it in 2 parts for this. Like look at this. Look at this. I think I need a pillow out of that. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, and this is one of these big cabbages from K Facet. I love that too. Okay, so let me just sort this and I'll show you the end. Let me just show you this thought process. I have, this is got the swans and the ducks, and I believe I used it in something, and there, because there's some extra, I'm going to put the extra in the giveaway pile over there, because I don't need to keep that much. I know I won't use it that way. I will use it more just like a little piece of this, so I don't need to keep that extra. Haha, pandas, look at them, look how cute they are. Oh my goodness, so cute. Here is how I ended up. These are the darker pinks here. This huge stack is the lighter pink, which I think will be 1 whole half here. I'll just jam it in there. These read more peach to me. Sorry about the lighting. Hold on. There. So these read more peach, and so I'm going to put them with the peach. I found a red. And then one that's got a blue background, even though it's got pinks on it, it doesn't look like it's in place, you know, because usually your background is where your eye like kind of gravitates to where the color is. So that'll go in my light blue. So that stack, and then I have a stack here that'll go to the charity group. Apparently I've already done this pretty extensively because that stack is not that big this time. It's definitely not 1/3 of the fabric. So I will be able to do this and this, yeah. And then these will go, I'll do the bigger stack first. Whoops, I'll just put it in slide it into the basket like that. See, it slid in there. And then I'll take the second stack, slide it in there. And then voila, it's very tidy. So that makes it, I think putting the basket on the side makes it super, super easy to be tidy with it and get it in there nicely. That is how things have been going here in the Sloan Zone. Leave me a comment. Tell me if you are in the stage of life where you are, you know, doing the same thing I'm doing, if you're doing it because of a move or just because you need and feel like you want more space or because your style has changed, etc., etc. I would love to hear about it, and hopefully next week, it should by next week, I can go work through the weekend here of finishing up stuff, and I will show you the final of everything. So, okay, my friend, I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.